Having trouble deciding between an Apple TV and a Roku Ultra? We're going to take a closer look and find out which one you need in your house. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Tony. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video. As I said in the opener, I'm going to compare the Roku Ultra 4K to the Apple TV. I think both of these devices compare favorably as they're in the upper echelon of streaming devices currently on the market. The first thing I want to cover is going to be cost, as I think this is going to be the biggest differentiator for most people. To start here, the Roku, when I bought this Roku Ultra about a month and a half ago, it was right at $100. And currently right now it is on Amazon for $84.99, which I think is a great deal. It comes with what you see here, as well as a premium set of JBL earbuds to use with the remote. The Apple TV is currently listed on Amazon for $149.99, and then in the 4K model to match the Roku Ultra 4K is $179.99. I have the Apple TV HD because I don't even have a 4K TV, so this is all I needed. All right, so as we get into the hardware here, I'm going to kind of compare and contrast some of the differences here. So the first thing I want to point out is the ability to play your own files on the Roku with the USB port and the micro SD card slot. So you can play anything from MP3s, MP4, MKVs, things like that. So pretty common video and audio files are going to be no issue with your Roku Ultra. The next thing on here, it does have an Ethernet port, HDMI port, and then your standard DC out, or excuse me, DC in. One of the other things I want to point out about the Roku, it does have Bluetooth capabilities. However, there are a couple caveats with that, as you are not able to connect Bluetooth headphones directly to this device. You can do it using a smartphone with your Roku app and then using that to play through your device. Now, let's jump ahead to the Apple TV here. The Apple TV is, standard for most of Apple's architecture is that it is very closed off. You are not able to add your own files to it, as it just has a standard HDMI port, a USB-C port, and then an Ethernet port, as well as your power plug. This one does also have Bluetooth, but there are no limitations to what you can use. You can use Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth keyboards, etc., 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 and it is very simple to set up. Now let's jump into the remotes, as they're quite a bit different, and I think one of the biggest differentiators for me. So as I mentioned earlier, the first thing I want to cover is going to be based on the JBL earbuds that come with this device, and I'll explain why they come with it, as this remote has a 3.5mm jack on the side here, so that you can listen quietly if you are watching something. Maybe your partner's in bed next to you or on the couch and they're watching something else or on the phone, and you really want to catch that show that's on right there. You can use the 3.5mm jack here, which sort of makes up for the Bluetooth functionality. It is nice that they at least include those with them, just because maybe not everybody has a wired set anymore. All right, so as we look at the remote here, it does have rubberized buttons here. They click nice and hard, so you can tell exactly what you're doing. Your movements are very direct and very precise, so you know exactly what you're doing. And then it does have the volume controls on the side, so it does control your TV. As you can see here, there is a little bit of a microphone button here, and that will allow you to control your Roku with the voice. Now, it's not something I use a lot on the Roku. I just don't think it's necessarily a value add for it. Somebody might disagree with me. Leave it down in the comments and let me know what you think of the voice command functions on the Roku. All right, that's really kind of it on this remote, so we'll jump ahead here to the Apple TV remote. And in my opinion, this is kind of the Achilles heel and really kind of the downfall of the Apple TV. So as you notice here, it is a nice sleek remote, and it has a matte top on here and then a flashier side or shiny side on the bottom. The matte top is actually a touchpad, and really this is really what I don't like about the device. It is very inaccurate, and kind of it's almost like using a blunt tool or something to do a task, just because it's very fast and very smooth, but it sometimes goes really far. If I'm trying to move apps and all of a sudden I move 4 over instead of 2, it's really kind of annoying, and I spend a lot of time readjusting and thinking I have enough pressure, and then it's not enough. It only goes 1 instead of 3, and it's just very, very, very inaccurate. It does have a click here similar to a mouse button. That's nice. It's got nice feedback. The rest of the buttons are really actually nice. They click really nice. One thing I do want to point out, this also has a voice function, and really it's rock solid just like Siri is, and I use it all the time on the Apple TV to spell, search apps, anything like that. You can kind of initiate it from any screen, and honestly it works really, really well. So that I'm a big fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of the Roku one. It works, but it's not as good as the Apple one. Theirs is quite a bit more polished, and I just really think it shows through here. One nice thing about this remote, it is rechargeable. So, you know, I sometimes waffle on the idea of being it, you know, rechargeable stuff versus replacing batteries. But in this case, I really do like that it's rechargeable. The battery life is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I probably get close to 9 months with this. I've had this device for roughly 2 years, and I've maybe charged it 3 times, maybe 4. I'm leaning towards 3, and it gives you a warning at 20%. Hey, it's about to die. That's fine. It lasts for weeks even after that. So just one night when you're not watching it, you can just plug it in, and you really don't have to worry about it. It's really a non-factor. I thought it was going to be kind of a disadvantage, but it is actually something that I really, really like. All right, now that we got that covered, let's dive a little bit deeper into the actual devices themselves, and I will pull up on the screen here as I kind of talk through the interface. So we're going to start here with the Roku. As the Roku comes up on the screen here, you can see that the apps are ordered in a grid pattern on the side of the screen, and then your menu options are on the left side here. You can see your streaming channels, and you can order your channels by clicking on them and selecting move, so you can move them up, so you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom every time you need to find that app that you're looking for. One nice thing is you can scroll up and you can scroll down, and it keeps basically going in a circle, so it's not like you have to go to the bottom and then you have to go all the way back up to the top. You can just easily go right down to the bottom and then go back up to the top. All right, so let's jump in here to the Apple TV. As I bring that up on the screen, you can see this is also arranged in a grid pattern, and it is really smooth. This is one of the nicest things of this device is how fast and smooth and polished the interface is. And if you're familiar with Apple devices, you know that this is one of their, you know, trademarks. Their stuff is really smooth and really polished, and they really put a lot of effort into the UI, and it really shows in this device. Now, this is where the remote is kind of a problem because it is so smooth, it moves really fast, and sometimes you find yourself scrolling to the bottom of the list when you really wanted to go to the top. And as I mentioned in the Roku, that is a 360 menu option, and it's really easy to scroll to the top from the bottom, but you can't do that on Apple TV. You have to scroll to the top. However, because the remote is so fast, you can go to the top to the bottom really quickly, so it is basically a non-issue. Now, one of the things that I want to compare with both of these here is going to be the ability to cast and screen mirror. If you're unfamiliar with what those are, casting is, let's say I'm watching a YouTube video on my phone and I get home and I'm like, hey, I don't really want to watch this on my phone. I'm going to pull this up on my TV. Well, if my streaming device is connected to that TV, I can hit the cast button, select that device, and it's going to throw that video through the YouTube app onto the device. Whether it be the Apple TV or the Roku, it does not matter what device you're casting from or casting to, as long as either of the devices has the corresponding app as what's on your phone. So that is manufacturer independent. It doesn't matter if it's Android, Apple, your computer. I know I do it all the time from my Windows PC to the Apple TV just because it is really slick, and sometimes I click on a video and I'm like, hey, I don't want to finish this on my computer. I want to finish this on my TV so that I can continue working on probably a project or some kind of editing for YouTube, because I fall down rabbit holes all the time. And it is really nice to get that off of my screen so it's a little bit less distracting. Now, screen mirroring, that's a little bit different, as that actually takes the entire window or the entire screen and puts it on your device that's connected to the TV. So with Roku, there are a few limitations. So what that is going to be, you can only screen mirror with Android or with Windows PC with their wireless display technology. Apple TV, kind of the same thing. It allows you to screen mirror with Apple devices, otherwise known as AirPlay, I think is what they call it. And then you can cast with your iPhone, your Mac computers, and it's really seamless. I recently just got a MacBook Pro. I'll have some videos coming up on that, but I used the screen mirroring the other day to watch some of the basketball games because I didn't have CBS with DirecTV Now, and I really wanted to watch the game, and I was able to just extend my desktop from my MacBook to my TV, and I was able to watch the stream on my big screen without any issues. It actually works really great, and I'm really surprised by that. The fact that it's not laggy at all with the wireless display. I gotta be honest, wireless display has come a long way, and both of these devices do a great job at that. The next thing, since we're already talking about the interface and some of the other things that it does, what's the app support like on these devices? So I'm going to be honest, I think that most of these devices have most every of the big apps. There might be something that I'm forgetting that I don't use. So if I am, leave them down in the comments below, because that would be really nice to know. I couldn't really find anything that's missing. These are kind of the flagship devices for the streaming market. So they really kind of get support for everything. The only issue I had was when I first got my Apple TV, it didn't have access to the Prime app, which is really kind of weird. There was some kind of feud between Apple and Amazon because they didn't want to have their content on. I don't know. And they eventually resolved it, I think, after like 6 months of me having the device. And it was, you know, no big deal. So speaking of having all the apps you want on there, I don't know if you're familiar with side loading. Side loading is the ability to load unsigned apps onto your devices. So it's something that's really popular with the Fire TV community as well as the Android TV community. These devices are a little bit limited in that respect. The Roku definitely has more ability to do that, and something that's called private channels. It's a little bit different than side loading. It kind of gives you access to content. A lot of it is probably going to be like adult content. But there are some movie channels. I know there's like some classic movie stuff that you can load. And at one point there was a streaming service called SkyStream TV, and I did a video on that if you want to check that out. But they had a side loaded or a private channel app. It eventually got taken down when they got sued. It might be back up now, but I kind of moved on from it because it wasn't working when I did it, which is actually ironically why I even have this device. But you know, so you can do some kind of, you know, aftermarket apps on that. The Apple TV, you can as well. However, it's quite a bit more difficult because you have to sign your own apps and make sure that they're verified by Apple and all that stuff. So you have to be a developer, and really you have to do it I think I saw every 7 days if you're not a paid developer. I don't think the average person is going to do that, nor is it probably worth it. I don't even know what's out there for side loading apps because, quite frankly, when I buy an Apple device, I don't expect to do kind of some hackery to it because it's a little bit more difficult, and I just don't really have the patience for that a lot of times. You know, with a Fire TV, it's super easy. All right, so at the end of the day, which device should you own? Well, the answer is pretty simple in my opinion. And realistically, if you have Apple ecosystem in your house, I really think that the Apple TV is the way to go. You know, it is quite a bit more expensive, but if you have iPhones and you have Apple computers and you just kind of live and breathe Apple, this is your choice. Without question, just buy it, just get it done with. It just works with everything that you have, and it's just going to integrate seamlessly. It functions really similarly, and I really think you can't go wrong with it. It is a little bit higher priced, but again, if you have Apple devices, it's not something that you are unaware of or it's unexpected to you. If you don't have Apple devices, this is 100% your choice. This is a great device, especially at the $85 price point. I was happy with this at $100, and actually, quite frankly, I wasn't sure I was going to keep it because I just bought it to do a video, and honestly, I ended up keeping it, and this is going to be my secondary device, or they're both going to be my main devices, just on different TVs. One's going to my bedroom and one's going to my living room, because they can do multicast with ESPN. I watch a lot of football in football season, so I really think that this is a keeper device. $85, you can't go wrong. It does everything you want to do, and quite frankly, more. So anyway, that's really all I have on these guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, definitely hit that like button. If you're interested in more content, definitely subscribe, and you're going to want to hit that notification bell so you know when I post my videos. I'm going to have some cool content coming up from Korea and Japan, I hope, and then I'm going to do some videos like I mentioned on my MacBook Pro that are going to be pretty interesting and might be useful for you. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great day.